I am so glad that we reconnected. You reached out. And I was telling someone recently, I think we only spoke by phone when you lived in San Francisco. So until you moved here that we actually met. And we just hit it off so fast. And that's one of the beauties of midlife. When you meet someone, you know within 5 to 10 minutes whether or not you're connecting on a level that you want. And
Absolutely. And now I have a pal who I respect and adore as a friend and a professional.
now I make new friends often, whereas before I'd be on a date and I would think, and is this a guy I want to see again, spend my life with, kiss, whatever else we might do? And now I meet women and I sit across from them. I don't ask if we want to spend our lives together, but I really do think like we're constantly dating people. I'm thinking, oh, this has the potential to be a really meaningful, deep friendship.
Absolutely. And it's so nice because we do feel things so much more now. And so you get a general kind of gut check. You're like, "Oh, I like this person." And it's
Yeah.
fun. I remember from LinkedIn and reading about your incredible career, New York Times, Estee Lauder, 20th Century Fox, but a creative consultant for so many brands and writing now for New York Magazine and many other publications. I want to mention, so when I kind of re-met you in LA, I think that was 3 years ago now. And is that right? Is 3 or 4 years
That's
ago?
right. Yes.
I mentioned the timing. I was just starting to think about, wait, I'm actually, someone said, Adrienne, we're midlife. And it was one of the first times I'd ever thought of myself in that category. But then you were sitting at Soho House of all places and you're talking about what you had just started Pretty Ripe and you were way ahead of literally everyone. I was like, Pretty Ripe, what a good name. What a good idea. No one else was doing it. And I've been a huge fan ever since. But I just have enjoyed it so much, have been such a fan and continually am a fan and just want more and more. If it's Pretty Ripe or New York Magazine, I just like when it shows up. And I like when your name's attached to it. So with that, I'd love to just really hone in on journalism because I have grown up with a family of journalists. A lot of doom and gloom. But not when I was growing up with them, but now. And so a lot of them have started to do other things outside of journalism, and you, as a professional, give me hope in the world of journalism, uh, because it's constantly described as collapsing. Yet your work every single time, if it's not completely viral, becoming a global sensation, it's something that I read and I cherish and I usually reread. And so, what's your trick? What do you think that you do differently in an industry that's really challenged and changing, that it's just hard to find heartfelt, smart content?
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And I have to say that I am still optimistic about journalism. And people will ask me, will you talk to my niece about getting into magazines or newspapers? And I know it's terrible. And I actually feel like it's still a fantastic job. Unfortunately, there are less opportunities than there once were. However, with, influencers and websites and blogs, and I mean, who even says blogs anymore? It's really become democratized and anyone can share their feelings, sometimes too many feelings. So I'm very gung ho about journalism. I have met so many people, wonderful people, inspirational people. It's kept me curious. I've always been a curious person, which is why I became a reporter in the first place. And I continue to get to ask questions. And when you ask me why my stories go viral, I think it's because I ask a lot of questions. I'm really quite nosy. And sometimes I have to ask them of myself. When I write pieces that are very confessional, I can ask myself the question in an offhand way, and I can write the answer that sounds good and makes me sound smart or savvy. And then I ask myself the question again, and I start to get into the messiness. And New York Magazine editors call me the queen of messy feelings. I just found this out, and I have to say, okay, I'll take that.
Bring it on.
Um, so I ask a lot of questions, and I'm very lucky that I found an outlet in The Cut, New York Magazine's The Cut, that allows women to really explore topics that are relevant, that are provocative, and they let you write in your own voice. Unfortunately, that's not true across the board.
So thank you, New York Magazine.
Gosh, I think there are so many great writers out there. There just aren't enough great outlets, and it's hard to make a living. So, if there were more places like The Cut, you would see more great writing. I think there are all these people who have stories to tell and nowhere to tell them because everything now is about purchasing, it's always selling products.
It's really true. I mean, I do think, even though it's so crowded, I think Substack is a wonderful example of a media outlet that is getting quite a bit of eyeballs on it. But again, you have to sift and you have to know who the writer is to get and then find out if they're even on Substack.
The genius of Substack is if you like something, they give you five other options. So they really help you explore. There was
Yeah,
just an article that said, people who are writing newsletters are the new influencers.
I believe that. There are some really good ones out there. And I do think Substack has taken place of that email newsletter for writers, not for brands per se, but for writers. I think those probably going to be some sort of catch up where that starts changing too. But no, I think that what I typically hear is the media outlet is over editing, over cautious. It's just a different time in journalism that a lot of journalists are scared to even write certain things. So it's nice that you have this platform like a New York magazine that's respected and that they let writers do their thing, which is rare in this day and age.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about fear because I have written some pieces where I've really revealed myself and I'll hand it into my editor. We'll go back and forth. But the day I know it's coming out, I wake up. I'm both excited, but I'm also a little anxious
Okay.
because I know that I've, sometimes voiced opinions that are unpopular, or I revealed something about my marriage. Um, my parenting style. I mean, I really delve deep. And again, I credit that the cut really allows you to go deeper. And in fact, my editor, Jen Ortiz, who's the deputy editor, literally sticks a knife in my gut every time we work on a story and twists it. So that's why I write what I write. I mean,
Yeah,
she just forces me to keep digging, to pull off the scab, and
love
it's
that.
effective.
With midlife or being pretty ripe, what do you think anything now at this stage in your career life you have more access to creatively than maybe earlier in your career just with this experience and how you feel generally?
It's experience. I can really write confidently knowing that I've been alive for more than 5 decades and I've had a lot of experiences and I have the confidence to be objective. I don't need to insert myself into every story. And I feel more certain creatively. I can sit down and write and use my voice in a way that I haven't in the past. I mean, I really grappled with finding my voice, as every writer does. And it takes a while and it changes. Just like you evolve, your voice evolves. Everything depends upon what's happening in your life and how you're feeling. So, having the confidence and the certainty in myself and how I express myself definitely came with midlife. I can write a story so much faster now. And when I look back, even 10 years ago, I really struggled with what do I want to say? What do I want to say? And I think that just comes from feeling a little insecure about your opinions and your feelings.
You recently wrote an article that I really enjoyed reading, and I think many people in midlife that have been married for a long time could relate around this quietly quitting a marriage. And obviously, the quietly quitting jobs last year was a big thing. So it was really, I think, with kids going to college and people being married now for 20 years, it just really hit a nerve. I just think there's subjects that people think about that are scared to write about, admit, face, and you go in there and you do it with humor and grace, which I always love. What was your inspiration? Because I remember you had asked me, "Oh, do you know anyone that's quietly quitting their marriage or going through these things?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, but I don't know if anyone would talk to them, and then the people you were interviewed were exactly the people that you should have interviewed, and it was beautiful, and it was researched, and it was compassionate, and it was a tricky article to write, and you nailed it. So talk me through. I only would love to hear about it because I think so many people are going through this transition in marriage too.
Yes, thank you. It was a really meaningful story for me to write, and women had to trust me with their stories. And I knew this story would soar if I got honest anecdotes, if I got women to talk to me and really share how they feel and the vulnerability that comes with feeling insecure in your partnership. And I got that. But going back to the genesis of this story, I was talking to my editor on the phone and she said, well, we have a divorce issue coming up. Do you have any ideas around divorce? We have one, 6 divorcees are giving their best tips for how to save your money. And I said, well, what about people who are divorced but not divorced? And she was like, what are you talking about? And I said, I think there are a lot of people who are living in a divorced way, but they're still together. I liken it to almost like when you were a kid, there's that parallel play when kids aren't really playing together, but they're together. It's not until they get older that they actually start engaging. And I think we've gotten to a place where because we're busy, because of Netflix, because of edibles, because of our careers, that we really don't have that much time. And it's really easy to coast in your marriage. So in my article, Quietly Quitting, those women were actively disengaged and detached from their partners, both emotionally and for the most part physically. But I think the reason this article went bonkers viral is because we all have either quiet quit in the past. And look, my husband loudly quits me and our marriage on occasion. I quietly quit on occasion.
Marriage. It's the ebb and flow of it all.
Yes. And I think people were either thinking, oh, I think I might be quietly quitting too, or I don't want to quietly quit. How do I prevent myself from getting to that place? So I think it had appeal in so many different ways. And I think what's interesting, because I wrote it for women over 40, but a lot of Gen Zers and millennials were reading it because they had parents who had quietly quit. And I think that's part of the reason a lot of them aren't getting married. Um,
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
yeah. And I actually have said, I don't know if this is a term or not, but I do not want to pass on the generational marriage trauma to my daughter that my mom and dad passed on to me. I didn't get married until 38. And I know that's because I watched them suffer in a very, very unhappy marriage throughout my childhood. So I didn't want to repeat that. My mom had married young. So I really waited until I felt like, okay, not only am I mature enough to make this choice, but I'm also confident enough to walk out of this marriage if it doesn't work. My mom got married in her early 20s. She didn't have a college degree. She really felt trapped. So, all that to say, I think this article appealed to different people. It was almost like Rashomon. Everybody saw a different side to it. But I'm so glad because it started a conversation and people are talking about marriage in a different way. And women who feel disenfranchised in their marriages who haven't told anyone reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, I finally feel seen.
With these different articles on different personal subjects, you really use humor. And I don't know if it's intentional because I know you well and you just have this wonderful sense of humor. And use humor, I think, to tell the truth. It's not like in your face.
I'll start by saying, growing up in a mostly Irish family, if you fell down, everyone laughed. If we were, if Uncle Charlie died and we were at his wake, we were all,
Like,
you wouldn't even know you were at it. I mean, we would be hysterical. And I think my people really approach pain with humor because we understand that when you're hurt, you feel hurt, but when you add humor, you lift that and you lighten it, as you said. And there's nothing better than being able to laugh at something. I think bringing a sense of humor to it makes it easier to handle. It makes a situation less overwhelming. And I think it just makes us realize that it's really up to us, our perspective on something. You can either feel the gravity of something, and I don't want to minimize anybody's pain, or you can look at it with levity and think to yourself, something worse could be happening. And where's the humor here? Where can we all laugh? I think that's why comedians are so able to connect with people about really painful, awkward topics. I mean, if you listen to stand up, a lot of that stuff is like gross or weird or would make you wince.
Dark, but it's, yeah, you
It's
feel,
dark.
yeah.
But when you start laughing and you connect and you think, oh, if I can laugh at that, if we can laugh at that in her life, I can laugh at that in my life. I think menopause is a great example, and aging is even a great example. Menopause, in that when that conversation started, there was a lot of anger, rightfully so. And now there's still anger because it hasn't been addressed in the medical industry the way it should have. But now women are actually laughing about it. And so when you take a topic that was so taboo, people didn't even want to say the word menopause, 5, 10 years ago. Now people say it and laugh hysterically about a hot flash. We come together, and I think it's a perfect example of how humor can really diffuse a charged situation or topic and make it relatable.
And my next question feeds into that a bit around humor and really leaning into that. What else do you think women right now, 40 plus, 50, should be leaning into more?
So interesting that you ask that, because it was actually a luncheon with maybe 5 friends, and we were all talking. And then I said, let's go around and talk about our health. Like, seriously, how are you feeling emotionally, physically? Do you have any situations? And I think when you have lived 4 or 5 decades, women are working so hard now. We're juggling a lot. Life has become infinitely more sophisticated and challenging because of technology, especially if you're a parent. You really have to check in with your health. I mean, like breast cancer, now we're seeing it in women under 40. I think the stress that we're all carrying and feeling, and you just have to really prioritize yourself and just take care of your health, because that is the center of everything. That could be your emotional health, it could be getting your mammogram, but put yourself first. And from there, once you feel healthy and strong, you can move forward in your career and your relationships. But this is the age where you get that call and someone says to you, oh, so and so has breast cancer, or a friend says to you, I just found out I have breast cancer. Get your mammogram, get all the checks that you can get, and take good care of yourself, especially emotionally.
I think that,
And I just want to say, in that story that I wrote, a few women talked about how quietly quitting their marriages or just being in miserable partnerships profoundly affected their health. One woman believes she got Parkinson's disease as a result of it. I mean, the body does keep the score. So it's important to do your own body and emotional scans.
almost pretty much daily, actually, I feel like.
Take fucking naps, okay? There's my advice. Like, get a good night's sleep. Really, just put yourself first. Sit down in a chair and do nothing. And if anybody calls you in the household, don't answer.
My big one is I take a hot bath every night to kind of calm my body down. That's just like that's like almost a religion to me. It's just we all have our things, but to your point, just really putting yourself first and going inward to the point where like, how do I feel today? Am I exhausted? Am I good? Like what's my thing? Like even when I was texting with you before this, I'm like, oh, I need a quick nap. And then I took a 5 minute one instead of a 20 minute, and I actually felt pretty good after that. I'm like, I'm ready. Well, it's Monica. I'm energized
Can
with
I
people.
ask you a question?
Absolutely.
What do you love about being your age and being in midlife that prompted you to start next chapter?
Initially, it was really, this is going to sound a little dark, but when my mom passed away, I had nothing of her except for 30 seconds of video. And I've had it redone where I can watch it regularly. We were very close and I miss her a lot all the time. So I wanted to have something. Initially, I wanted to have almost like a love letter that was a video to my children. So if I die tomorrow, they'll be able to watch these conversations I'm having with women I respect. So I thought, what a great gift to them to pass on. So that was number one. And then number two, I had a rough year and a half getting my act together. And so I thought initially oh, I'll just do this podcast, but now I'm going to be doing a course around it. And it really inspired me. I got my master's degree in education to really do some sort of course on how do you stumble, you get back up. Here's some tips and tricks on how it can help you. There's a
I
much,
really am. I feel like there should be a midlife school so
it
you
is
can
a
live your
midlife
best
school.
midlife.
It's the next
And
chapter shift course.
I
That's very concerned.
I cheated all the time growing up. Oh my God, I got in trouble
So
all the
did
time.
I. I mean, well, oh, I shouldn't tell my kids that. I definitely cheated on some Spanish quizzes. One thing I really love about seeing you is how you just keep evolving. And you have these kind of pivots sometimes, and I know with COVID and some, you always have a sense of humor, keep moving through it, keep evolving, keep growing, keep being positive. So I just think it could help a lot of women. So what is your advice to others just in this shifting industry, just keeping your eye on the prize with your projects?
Here's the best advice I have for women our age, women with experience. Understand that the years that you have lived and worked and loved are all so valuable. And when you're trying to start something new, whether it's a startup or you're interviewing for a job that is a reach for you, your age is an asset. And if you believe that and walk in feeling that, other people will feel it too. And I have to say that what you think may be a liability in your life could be your best asset. For instance, I sold a screenplay 5 years ago and I was in the room at Netflix. And my writing partner at the time said, oh, I've developed this and I produced that and I wrote that. And they said, how about you? And I was like, I haven't done any of that. But I have written about beauty and culture and style, and I've gone to fashion shows and I've worked for a beauty company and I've embedded in all these different subcultures as a journalist. And I saw their eyes light up, and what I thought was my weakness was what was my strongest asset. I hadn't been, writing scripts or sitting in a writer's room. I'd been out there asking questions and researching. So
Mhm.
what you might think makes you not a great candidate might actually be what makes you the best candidate. And again, just remember that age equals experience. Age equals experience. Age equals expertise. And if you go in with that attitude and don't try to hide your age or feel sheepish about it, I'm not saying you have to go in and announce, hi, I'm Monica, I'm 58, but you don't need to be afraid to allude to the Cure because you don't want them to know, meaning the band, how old you are, or the fact that you went to Lollapalooza or Lilith Fair. Just remember, you have experience, and with experience comes expertise.
Absolutely. And also, just a good reminder when you aren't feeling that you have the experience to look at your life and to see
Mhm.
what you've created and how to grow upon that. Some of this course that we will be doing focuses on that. So that's very, Monica, thank you. Thank you. So good to talk to you.
I say thank you for what you're doing. I'm really proud of you for launching this. You said you were going to do it and you did it. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
I
And I'm
appreciate it.
excited for the course.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.